welcome. Today we're going to be doing yoga for hips, and this is safe for anybody that's pregnant. I'm obviously pregnant, so the only thing that we'll really need is just a pillow or something firm that you can sit on. So go ahead and grab what you need, and let's get started. If you don't have time to watch right now, go ahead and save to your watch later, and just do this whenever you get a chance. And let's go ahead and start in child's pose. This is actually one of my favorite positions for opening up the hips in a really gentle way. So go ahead and bring your big toes close together and your knees wider than hip distance apart, wider than you're used to bringing them. It's really good for opening up the hips. Go ahead and just let your hips sink towards your heels, and you can just let your head rest on the floor. So I'd really like you, as we practice today, I'd like you to keep your focus on your hips and how you are feeling from right to left. So let's go ahead and just take a few breaths here, tuning into our inhales and exhales a little bit more. And not trying to force the hips down at all, just allowing gravity to do the work for us. So as we hold, just moving a little bit deeper. And really check in with your left hip. See if you're holding. Check in with your right hip. And just soften. Go ahead and walk your hands forward, feeling that stretch in your low back, feeling the spine lengthen as we press our palms, and allowing those hips to just continue to sink down. And lengthen the spine all the way from the tailbone to move a little bit deeper. And let's go ahead and come on to all fours, moving into cat-cow and still keeping our focus on the hips. So stacking our hips over our knees and our shoulders over our wrists. And on your inhale, go ahead and round. And on your exhale, open, really focusing on the hips here. And just allowing, as you move at your own pace, allowing the hips to move fluidly. Notice if they catch at any point. And do about 4 more at your own pace, moving with each inhale and exhale. Inhaling as you round, and opening as you exhale. 2 more. Just staying focused on those hips. And coming back to neutral, go ahead and bring the big toes close together, knees nice and wide apart, and go ahead and just sink your hips down, keeping your spine straight. You can drag your hands in, and we're going to do an upward facing half child's pose, so to speak, and just allowing your hips to really sink down and lengthening all the way from your tailbone, rolling those shoulders back. And just check in with each side. And try to keep that length in your spine as you bring your head back down to the floor. Your hips might lift a little bit, and that's okay. But you're going to get a deeper stretch in your hips if you keep that spine long in this position, in child's pose. And tucking the chin in, keeping the spine long all the way into the neck. Just breathing into those hips. Being patient. Sometimes the hips take a little bit longer to open than other things. And go ahead and walk those hands forward. And you can look up if you need to. You can just slide that left hand by your left knee and go ahead and walk that right hand over towards your left side. And breathing into that left hip with that extra compression. Taking about 3 breaths here. Staying focused on the hips, go ahead and walk your hands to the opposite side, sliding that right hand towards the right knee. Breathing into that right hip. And just enjoying that extra pressure of your torso against that hip. Deeper stretch. One more breath here. Go ahead and walk your hands back to center. Go ahead and slide your hands in as much as you need to really lengthen through that spine and sinking into your hips a little bit more. Go ahead and bring those hips up. Moving into downward facing dog, you can just step your hands forward and go ahead and tuck the toes under, pressing those thighs back. Feet are hip distance apart, hands are shoulder distance apart. Letting the heels sink down, breathing into those calves and those hamstrings. Go ahead and lift that left leg, and you can bend the left knee, just opening up your hips towards the left side, allowing that left heel to sink down. Breathing into your right groin especially, just allowing those hips to open as much as they're ready for. And opposite side, go ahead and drop that left leg, bending the left knee as you elevate that right leg. Breathing into those left inner thigh and groin area. Nice long breaths here. And release. Just pause for a moment, cleaning the slate here. And go ahead and walk your feet forward wider than hip distance. And go ahead and look up, long spine. And you can just grab hold of your calves or your ankles and just drawing your torso in closer to your legs. Go ahead and just walk it out a little bit, bending that left knee slightly. Opposite. Just do that a few times. Just walking it out a little bit. Just let your head hang as if you're holding your head up. And pressing through the feet, go ahead and bring your arms overhead. Long spine here, just reaching through your fingertips. And go ahead and release. And getting set up for Malasana, go ahead and pivot your toes out. Feet are still wider than hip distance. And go ahead and just sink down into your hips, bending those knees, coming into a squat position. You can bring your palms together and just allow those hips to sink down as you press your palms and lengthen through the spine. And really allowing that tailbone to sink closer towards the floor. You let your heels descend a little bit further, and we're going to hold this for about 20 more seconds. Nice deep breaths here. Go ahead and tuck your chin in, keeping your spine nice and long all the way through the neck. And checking in. Notice if one knee is a little bit higher. Might be a sign that that hip is a little tighter. Just noticing the subtleties a little bit more as we hold. Notice how the heels start to sink down even more as we hold. And coming right into butterfly, you can just bring yourself down into position. You can bring the soles of your feet together If your knees are up quite a bit, I would encourage you to go ahead and grab your support, and you can just sit right on your pillow or blanket. And coming into position, go ahead and just walk it out a little bit. So just shifting from side to side, and finally settling in, rooting down through our sit bones. Go ahead and lengthen through your spine. Grab hold of your knees or your shins, just lengthening, rolling those shoulders back. And again, notice if one knee might be a little bit higher, and just pay extra close attention to that side as we hinge forward. Go ahead and hinge at the hips, staying rooted through our sit bones and lengthening through our spine for a deeper stretch in the hips. And start to just walk your hands forward. Nice deep breaths here. And just leaning into the discomfort. So just breathing into those groins, the outer hip area. And just moving as deep as your body is ready for, just listening to and honoring what your body's telling you. We're going to hold this for about 5 more breaths. Long inhales and exhales. And if you're starting to pop up off of your support or the floor, just kind of back up a little bit and stay rooted, connected through your sit bones. 1 more breath. Go ahead and release. And go ahead and lengthen through your legs. And if you're not on your support already, go ahead and just plop on there. And coming into half pigeon, go ahead and bring your right ankle under your left knee and stack your legs, bringing that left ankle on top of the right knee. And it's perfectly fine if your knee's up a little bit. Just pay attention how things feel as you transition from side to side. Not trying to force the knee down, but you can kind of add a little bit of assistance. Not trying to force anything. And just lengthening through the spine here. Make sure that you feel stable through your sit bones before hinging forward. If you feel like you're going to fall off, you might need to scooch back on your prop a little bit. And just hinging forward, keeping that spine long. You're going to feel this in your left glute area, the outer hips more. And holding for about 30 seconds, bringing the chin down, keeping the neck nice and relaxed. As we breathe, and notice if you're clenching your abdomen, just soften as we hold. And if you'd like to bring your hands in front of you, you can explore that. Just listening to your body and what feels right now. About 10 more seconds here. And just breathing into that left hip. Hip work can be fairly uncomfortable, especially if your hips are tight. Just breathing through it. Go ahead and release. And nice and slow, let's go ahead and move to the opposite side, stacking the legs in the opposite way. And I'm noticing that my right knee is going right down. My left knee, for some reason today, was like 3 inches higher. So just kind of check in with your own body and see how things feel. And same thing, just rooting down through those sit bones and staying connected as we explore moving deeper. So you're going to get a deeper stretch in that right hip if you keep the spine long rather than collapsing the shoulders forward to come closer to the floor. So just really lengthening from that tailbone. Let's hold for about 15 more seconds. And Notice if as you move deeper, if your hip's starting to fight you, and really just allow that area to soften, not trying to force anything, just allowing. It's the key to opening up the hips. Two more breaths here. And go ahead and release. And always moving slowly, coming out of these poses. Go ahead and just shake it out a little bit. And coming into a cross-legged position, go ahead and just sit however you're comfortable. And we're going to do a little body scan. So go ahead and close your eyes if you'd like, and just rooting down through the sit bones, feeling connected to the floor, relaxing our feet, our toes, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, right hip, left hip, abdomen, torso, arms, shoulders, neck, jaw, face, ears. And you can open your eyes. That is all for today. If you enjoyed this video, you should check out our app Yoga Plus, where you'll find some really great content exclusive to our app. Look forward to seeing you there.
Welcome to Yoga Plus. Courses available from pupil to yogi. Sort by yoga, fitness, and instructors. Create your own routines. Access the pose library. Yoga Plus by Psyche Truth, available on Google Play and the App Store.
Join us for 14 and 30-day programs, hour-long classes, and much more on our yoga app, Yoga Plus by Psyche Truth. It's free to download and features a variety of wellness content, including yoga, fitness, Pilates, guided meditations, and interviews with dozens of wellness experts.